We're joined by Partick Thistle board member Stuart Callison today to talk a bit about the new working groups that have been implemented at Partick Thistle Football Club. So just to start off, talk to us about the community working group.
Thanks, Chris. We wanted to do a series of these pieces about the new working groups just to try and breathe some life into them. Just reading the terms of reference on the website doesn't make it sound that exciting, but I see the community group in particular as an absolutely critical part of the club's future. We have a strategic vision, which we've talked about with fans earlier in the season, to make this really a destination club, to make people talk in the same breath as Wimbledon or Dortmund or St. Pauli or clubs like that. You know, we know that this club is unique, and we want to bring new people to Firhill to experience that audience and to grow the club at the same time.
And what part will the working group play in that vision?
I think and I'm expressing personal views here, which doesn't mean that we couldn't get folk in. I hope we will get people in with new and different ideas, but I wanted to set out how I see this working and what I think some of the kind of initial aims might be. So we want to be a really good citizen, corporate citizen in Glasgow. We want to make a difference to people's lives and support the economy of North Glasgow. But at the same time, I also see this very much about building the audience for Partick Thistle, to bring new generations of Thistle fans, people who might not have considered coming here before, to add to the numbers and build the club up in that way. So it's also partly about, getting bigger crowds, better team, better results, as well as contributing locally in the community. So I think there are kind of maybe three strands initially. As I say, these are my ideas about how we can make a difference working through this group. And the first of these, I think, is definitely, as I've said, about binding Thistle more and more strongly to the communities around North Glasgow. And I think that means things like working more closely maybe than the recent past with the Community Trust to support their activities, make the resources of the football club available to them in ways which will help them attract new funding. Jags for Good has been a terrific organisation. I really want to talk to them and see how they can contribute as well. There's various terrific initiatives I've seen at other clubs and we can learn from. So Wimbledon, as I mentioned, their community trust runs a brilliant programme for kids that are at risk of exclusion from school. And so there are still formal classes offered, but they're in a football club setting. They can join in academy training and the like, and it's been very successful. Another one which I think is maybe a long-term goal, but that space behind the goal, wouldn't it be great if we could actually work with community trust to access grant funding and put some sort of community hub as a stand instead of flats or what have you, but somewhere that was really had GP surgeries, had community halls, something which really made Firhill the centre of the community. And I think too there's a lot that could still be done to encourage participation by women and girls in football. So that's the first strand of it, if you like. The second thing, which kind of touches more on bringing new people in. There's community clubs in Glasgow if your interest is Irish history and politics. But my view is that still leaves an awful lot of folk who might actually enjoy here better. So one of the questions I think the group I want to discuss with the group is what can we do to make Firhill a good place to come for women supporters, ethnic minorities, our work with our disabled group supporters that have been very active. A couple of ideas, for example, that I've borrowed from elsewhere, have been tremendously successful. Let's emphasise what everyone's got in common. So an all red and yellow day, for example. I'm not proposing that we have set out things that so here's gay supporters, here's South Asian supporters. No. All Thistle supporters, and I think that's the way to go with it. And I'd like to explore. There's evidence elsewhere that new fans from an ethnic minority background are a little unsure about the atmosphere that goes with football club. What if we set aside an area of the Jackie Husband stand for new supporters? We made a conscious effort to make them welcome. We provided a buddy system. These are some really good ideas I've seen working down south. And I think, that's just a starter for 10. What could we really do to get those numbers up from 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 in 2 or 3 years? That's a big part of it. And the last strand of this, if you like, is that we absolutely want to listen to the fans we've got as well and involve them and hear their ideas for how to make the matchday experience better for them. Maybe that's better food options. I know there are constraints with the ground and planning on what we can do, but could we use the concourse better? How do we just get this to be a place where people come early and stay for as long as possible and spend their money at Partick Thistle? And I do hope that there could be some of the Tranche 2 investment, if that's passed, for example, which could be earmarked and set aside for projects that fans themselves might get to vote for. So fans in the working group will think about things we could do, and then the wider fan base would get to vote on what they think is the most worthwhile. So those are a few suggestions to get things going. To give initial meetings a bit of a framework, but like I say, we don't have all the ideas. We're really keen to hear from anybody who would like to contribute. How to make this vision into a reality. I think I've wrote down the contact address, contact@theptfctrust.co.uk, all lowercase. It'd be great if people could get applications in by latest mid-December so we can get this up and running in the new year. And I think it'll be a really interesting and exciting group, which in time people really see making a difference.
Thanks, Tim Stuart.
Thank you.